My name is Suan Trong. I am a female Asian wheelchair user with short, straight black hair. Today I am sitting in my office. I am a therapist, so right after this call, I am actually meeting with clients. So welcome to our Access Ladies interview. Quick housekeeping. We have captions available. This meeting is being recorded, so if you need to, you can watch this at a later date. And during the interview, if you have any questions, we have two options. You can either put them in the chat, or we'll actually get to them after the interview. If you want to say them out loud, we'll just ask that you hold them off until the end. So today is December 3rd. It is also known as International Day of Disabled Persons by the United Nations. The annual observance of International Day of Disabled Persons was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 47-3. So it aims to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities in all spheres of society and development, and to increase awareness of the situation of persons with disabilities in every aspect of political, social, economic, and cultural life. So today, the world's population is over 8 billion people, and more than 1 billion people, or approximately 15% of the population, live with some form of disability, with 80% living in under-resourced countries. So each year, the UN puts out a theme which embodies the goals of the disabled community. For 2024, the theme is amplifying the leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future. So without further ado, I will turn it over to the rest of the team for their introductions, and we'll get started.
So I'm Monique Stamps. I am with Women Embracing Abilities Now Charlotte, and I am also an Access Lady. I am a Black woman with long hair. I kind of have it braided in the front and it's like hanging in the back. I have on a white shirt. I am also a manual wheelchair user.
Shall I go as well, real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll go and put my pen back. So hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Williams, also an Access Lady, and I'm an African-American woman with natural locked hair sitting in my office with a lot of disability books behind me on a shelf. So thank you so much for attending and joining, and you'll hear from me again towards the end. But right now, we want to get right into the great content that we have for you. So take it away, Monique.
All right. So Carolyn Covington, CEO of Insightful Visionaries, a 501c3 nonprofit out of Raleigh, North Carolina, is a phenomenal businesswoman, philanthropist, public speaker, disability rights advocate, wife, mother, diva, and someone that I am honored to call one of my dearest friends for the past 5 years, or maybe more. And it's been a while, Carolyn.
It's been a minute. Yes.
It's been a minute. So welcome, Carolyn, and thank you for celebrating International Day of People with Disabilities with us. And we're just going to jump right in. And let's start with your story.
Okay, well, I'll describe myself first. So I am also an African-American woman who happens to be blind. I'm a businesswoman. I have curly hair today. It's subject to change daily. And I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So, Carolyn, we're going to start with your story, namely that you weren't always disabled. Would you mind telling us about your professional journey before your disability?
Well, my whole life has been like living out a dream. So as a child, young adult, I guess I'd say, in a teenage stage, I dreamed that I would become a famous hairstylist, travel around the world, and own a chain of salons. And, God did allow all of that to happen before I lost my sight, and then some more. So I started at 15 at Bladensburg Vocational High School in Maryland, and that's where I took cosmetology. And by the age 21, I opened the first in-flight hair salon in Maryland, employing about 15 people. And from there, we trailblazed from Maryland to Virginia to North Carolina, opening more salons and actually giving other people the opportunity to become entrepreneurs as well. And then I got married, and with raising two sons, I continued to build the beauty empire. We actually traveled extensively throughout the United States, and we traveled to Africa, Canada, all of the Caribbean, training and teaching people, in London, of course, teaching people to style multicultural hairstyles, actually. It was some of everything. We started a product line called Desire Hair Care Line back in the 90s. So it was pretty successful within the whole beauty industry, just trying all different things, keeping people beautiful, looking good, feeling good. And then we merged into the day spa arena. So we wanted to get into wellness. So I've been around women all of my life prior to losing my sight, and wanted to take care of them, advocate for them. And so once losing my sight, I wanted to put myself back in that same arena.
Okay, awesome. And can you expand a little bit more on how things pivoted after losing your sight? You know, how you were able to stay in the industry, and
Well,
how things progressed from
I took a
there.
hiatus for about a year and a half. Of course, I guess the three steps of transitioning into blindness. It starts with denial, and I did a whole lot of that. And then you go into your grievance, and so I grieved for like a year and a half, just because I knew I couldn't go back into the beauty industry, or that's what I thought, because beauty is very visual, something you have to see in order to create. But then after I, accepted my blindness, and realized I had to have help to get back up and get out and learn how to get all the assistive technology. And I met a man who told me that there's life after blindness. And that all motivated me to get back up and get back into business, maybe not necessarily the hair business or the beauty business right off.
Okay. And you're currently, as I stated before, CEO of Insightful Visionaries, and you're a founder of an organization called Divas Alliance. Can you tell us the mission or primary goal of those organizations?
Well, the mission for Insightful Visionaries was started out to just empower the blind and visually impaired through advocacy, education, health, wellness, and arts and entertainment, which I love entertainment. I think that socialization is the key when you are transitioning, or if you have a disability, and you just can't isolate. So that was really huge for me. And then we branched into, once I became a member of the Mayor's Committee for Disability, we branched into all disabilities. So now we are empowering persons with disabilities. And from there, we took off, and, I love women and I love advocating for women. So we went into the Divas, which stands for Women with Diverse Abilities, Inspiring, Victorious, and Accomplished. And so we started that. Our inaugural tea party was in March. And Monique, of course, was one of our divas that was inducted at the tea party back in March. And then she went ahead and decided she wanted to do the Divas Brunch and Bubbly in Charlotte, because she had 6 amazing women that she felt were divas, and they needed to also be recognized and celebrated. So we just decided we would take this all across the U.S. And then eventually, just like the 100 Black men started, they started together as a group, as a brotherhood. And so we're a sisterhood, and they raised money to pour back into the community. And we feel that we can do the same thing. We're now going to start the 100 Divas, and we'll all raise the money. We'll have our own money. We're tired of begging and filling out these little small grants and still getting denied. We could raise our own money and have someone to match it, and then we'll be able to fulfill our community. If anyone has special needs or emergency needs or need money for college or whatever grants, whatever organizations that are doing things to uplift women, we would be able to help sponsor them.
Absolutely. And I love Deep's Alliance is amazing. I'm so proud to be a part of it. All right. And Carolyn, so I'm going back to the business world. Can you share a little bit of any unique challenges that you face as a person with a disability in the business world and how you've been able to overcome them?
Yeah, well, my whole world had to change. It did change. But I'm no stranger to the struggle. You know, as a Black businesswoman, I had to struggle to get to where I got to and before losing my sight. So I know what it is. And I'm okay with the struggle because the struggle builds character, it makes you stronger, you know, it makes you an example out there for other people to see. So I knew that coming back again as a businesswoman, a disabled businesswoman, that it would be a little harder. And there's been some things that have been very challenging, but you just have to keep going. You have to don't accept no for an answer. Know that you are enough. Know that you are the best at what you do, regardless of, you know, the minor disability that you may have. That you have so many other abilities to be able to demand a seat at the table.
Right. And one thing that you and I had discussed, you know, here recently was having to put your trust into other people to get things done. You know, just physically, how has that been?
Well, I have been blessed that you know, when I first lost my sight, it was like a disappearing act. Everybody disappeared. And I was like, okay. But I have some very faithful people that I poured into their lives over 30 years ago that are just my support. They're there, they're my rock. And so I can put the trust in them because it's very hard to find new people and just automatically trust them when you can't put your eyes on it. It's different when you can see what they're doing as well. So trust is a huge issue for a blind person in business. You usually have to have someone who is sighted to help you, that you can trust, to oversee your financials with you, and just to carry out your vision. Because people tell you they're doing what you told them to do, and they're not. They're doing something totally different. So yeah, trust was a huge thing, and I think I'm pretty good with it now. I don't quite micromanage as much as I did in the beginning. I mean, that's what I say. That might not be what they say, but I love the group, my team that I work with. So establishing a great team and keeping that team, you know, relationships are everything. It's everything. Yes. Building long-lasting relationships.
Absolutely. And I've met her team. They do not play about Miss Carolyn, and neither do I.
I love you all.
Love you too. All right. Now, so let's talk about partnerships. Are there any partnerships, collaborations, or networks that have been crucial to your success and growth?
Yes, so I love the fact that we collaborate with you, with Ween. I'm learning so much more about all the different disabilities. You know, I was focusing mainly on the blind and visually impaired and all of our needs. And, you know, a disability is a disability. It just means that there's something that we're not able to do. There's so many other things that we are. And we actually, Ween and Divas Alliance have a lot of the same members, as you know, for instance, Brooke Barrett, who actually came to me through a counselor who said, oh, you know, I know somebody in the beauty business, and I now know that you have, I think she's a wheelchair user, and she actually is blind as well. And it's like, you need to talk to this lady. And then once I spoke with her, I was like, oh, you need to talk to Monique, the girls in Charlotte, because she is located in Charlotte. But to me, it just means so much that we mentor people together. What you can provide for them is great. What I can provide for them is excellent as well. I have started CEO Hair Care, which is how I got back into the beauty industry. You never forget what you know. If you have knowledge in your head, you don't have to see to create hair care products or to create anything actually. And so Brooke is one of my number one affiliates. She's out there making videos. I mean, and it makes me feel so good to know that I can bring joy to someone to be able to fulfill their passion, fulfill their passion and their dreams. So what they put up.
And that's what I love about that too, Carolyn, just being able to connect the dots and
yes,
there's no competition in that. Like we literally work together and are building together. And I just think I'm just so excited about what the future holds going into the new year. So I really appreciate everything you're doing with these building these networks and collaboration.
Yeah. And then another network which it works is the Community Family Rising. And they have sponsored, actually, they sponsored the Divas Tea Party. And what they do is they work mainly with the children of the families, but you can't work with the children. You can't reach the children if you don't reach the parents. And so with the mothers, that brings them another entity that they can bring them to the Divas Alliance. And, it's not just for disabled women, disadvantaged women, just women who want to be a part, because, we have our Diva sisters. We forgot to touch on that. And they are women that, some are business women. They're just accomplished women who want to come alongside us and mentor us, help us grow. And we're grateful for every Diva sister that we have out there.
Absolutely. All right. Now, what message do you have for others with disabilities who might be considering starting their own business and maybe unsure about taking the step?
Oh, wow. Go for it. Step out on faith, live out your dream, never stop dreaming your dreams. Find your passion project and turn it into a business. There's so much that you can do. We're innovators as disabled women. We're total innovators, and there's not anything, no one knows better what we need to succeed or to even just get through our daily challenges than we do. So why is everybody else making softwares, making all these different innovations, and we're not in on it? So I just say there's always something out there that you can create. There's always a way, because we have to figure out everything. We have to figure out what we're going to do from day to day. So I would just say get a mentor or a few mentors. There's nothing wrong with that. And what is a mentor? So that's someone who's going to lead you, guide you. They may not talk to you every day, but they're people that you admire because the path that they have taken. So you need to read up about your mentor before you just select one, because you want to be headed in the same direction so they can share their wisdom with you. And then get a business coach if necessary. And also you can always get someone to partner with, a family member or a best friend, people that you trust, that you've known for a long time, that can be there to help you see your project through and help you build your business. So I would say go for it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. And what would you say has been your proudest moment or accomplishment as a business owner?
Oh, wow. So that's a tough one, Monique, because I don't have a proud moment. Everything that has happened to me in my life, a lot of it is unexplainable. It was just a gift, a blessing. Every time I turned around, there was something new, a new opportunity just dropped in my lap. People would try to say, why you get all the opportunities? I don't know, but I try to pass them on as well. So I've just been blessed my entire life from when I started that journey at 15 years old for all these things that happened. So I can't say that I'm proud because it's not because of me. It was given to me. And so, but what I do admire is it makes my heart smile when someone else that have come my way is successful, or someone that I mentored, they listened. Some people don't listen, they listened and, and they come back and they say, I remember when you said, or I remember when you did, all of that. If you want to call it a proud moment, that's a proud moment. And I have so many of those over the years.
Absolutely. And finally, what is on the horizon for 2025?
Oh, I love a new year. It's just like, it's so funny. All my life, it's like you rush through the year to get to the end of the year. You're so tired. I'm like, I just can't wait for the new year. And then you crank right back up at the beginning of the new year. So for 2025, Insightful Visionaries is taking a shift. We are in the process of finding a building so that one, we can call our own instead of always renting from here and there, so that we can implement some training programs, workshops, entrepreneurship programs, and just create, a meaningful opportunities for persons with disabilities. So I'm really super excited about that. I think you had mentioned maybe we can have our own Divas Cave or Divas Den, or
Oh, the Diva Den.
And we could do it from state to state, or or from city to city to start with in North Carolina. I mean, there's just so many things that we would love to do in 2025. Just got to get it on the calendar.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, beautiful. Well, that is all the questions that I have. Sue Ann, you want to jump right into the Q&A?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Miss Carolyn. This is Sue Ann.
Yes.
I don't see any questions or comments in the chat right now.
Okay.
Does anyone want to verbally ask their question? I'm gonna give an awkward 5-second pause.
You can unmute or raise your hand.
I have my hand raised. Does that count? Or can y'all see?
Yeah.
Of course it counts.
All right, well, I'll jump in, and then you all please feel free to keep keep thinking about your questions as well, and what discussion, and they can be comments as well. It doesn't have to be questions. But Miss Carolyn, of course, this is Michelle again.
Yes.
So I work in the digital accessibility space, and so I wondered a little bit more about your story around the technology side, because firstly, I want to know, before your disability, were you tech savvy? And then now that you are now an assistive technology user, what has that been for you? How comfortable are you with the tech that you now need? And then you also mentioned this reliance on sighted folks. And I know part of that is because even with your tech, things are not accessible to you. So just wanted to talk a little bit more about that technology side of things, and how that's been for you.
Okay, so prior to losing my sight, I didn't have I wasn't very technical. I didn't have a lot of technical skills. I always had people to tell them what to do. So I did learn to use the computer as far as booking appointments and checking people out. I would get the money, that's for sure. But so that made it a problem. So after losing my sight, I had to learn to type. So I'm starting from the beginning of things that most people already know when they lose their sight and they come out to the rehabilitation place. So I'm a very slow learner when it comes to those things. And so I'm still in the process of learning, but I have learned my iPhone and I depend on my iPhone. It does everything in the accessibility mode when you turn the phone on. And so it's really a great tool to have. I rely on things like my Meta glasses, the new Meta Ray-Bans that are out there that were originally made for sighted people. However, it has become a #1 thing for the blind because it has the AI. You can answer your phone and talk and send text messages and emails all through your sunglasses. So that's really cool. But as far as the JAWS and the other technology softwares, I have not completed my courses, and I'm okay to say that. I've been such a busy woman. In the beginning, I was in denial. Let me just put it out there. And I didn't want to learn any of it. And I should have then, because I still had some vision. And that was at the time that I should have been trying to learn all of this. But then I got so busy with Insightful Visionaries and jumping back out into the business world that I just kind of pushed it away. So I will say to anyone who is losing their sight, do not procrastinate. Go immediately, learn all the accessibility, the digital things that are out there. Number one, learn your cell phone, learn your iPhone. It's the number one phone for the blind community. Don't wait, because you have to rely on a lot of people.
This is Sue Ann. Thank you so much, Miss Carolyn. We have Christine, who has her hand raised.
Yeah. So thank you, Sue Ann, and thank you, Carolyn. This has been a really, no pun intended, but eye-opening discussion for me. I've been a part of Sue Ann's life for quite a few years now. We met at a leadership retreat, and I consider myself one of her mentors, a business partner, and just
Awesome.
someone that just really is a cheerleader for her. She's been an amazing person in my life. I too, I've been diagnosed legally blind. I have keratoconus, but I use corrective lens as well as my glasses. And it's been a journey, but listening to you, you have a phenomenal story and so encouraging. And I love the fact that you were talking about the new technology. So I do have an iPhone. I'll check that out. So as someone who has faced that unique challenge or challenges and opportunities through your journey, how do you think businesses and society can better adapt to embrace inclusivity and also empower individuals with disability, not just as participants, but as leaders?
Yes. I think that it requires more people like ourselves that are on this call to be advocates for it and to be leaders and to stand up and let them hear our stories, hear our voices, understand that we are powerful. You know, although most people think that there's a missing link or we're weak or we can't do the things that because we have something that we cannot do, they don't see all that we can do. So we do have to go into those corporations and go in and have the sensitivity training, go in and let them see how innovative we are and how they need us. I think we have to create that. We have to let them see that they actually are missing out. You know, they are missing out by not bringing disabled people into their workforce, not allowing us to shine and show our leadership qualities. A lot of people are we're very focused. We're very determined, strong-willed. We don't give up. As you can see that. I mean, you know that when you see a person who has to get up every day and figure out the same challenges there. It's not like it's going to go away. Every day you get the same challenge and you know you have to deal with it. And there may come another challenge before it's over with. And we don't give up. We do not give up. We keep going. How many employees do they have that have the determination and the willpower and the strength to keep going like disabled people do?
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Carolyn. I'm going to read the chat real quick. Leah says, thank you for sharing, Carolyn. And Brooke asked, what is the best way to go about finding an assistant or finding a team?
Well, as I said, my team, you know, I've had years and years. I'm an older lady, but I've had years of experience and people around me to kind of weed out this one and know who's good, who's bad. I mean, so, you know, you have to, if you're just starting out in business and you want to get the right team, and you're going to have to filter through it. You're going to have to find people that believe in you. They believe in your vision. When I say believe in you, they believe that even though you have a disability, you know what you know. You know, you have the knowledge, you're able to be their leader. And so that's what's going to be important, because you don't want anybody on your team who don't think you're capable, because why do you want somebody that close to you that has that negative thought of you? So you get enough of that anyway in the world. So, I mean, I think you have to just search. I mean, I don't know if it's a thing where you go on Indeed. I think it's where you get into groups like Ween or Divas Alliance and you ask people, do you know someone who does this? Can you help me? Because people that really want to help and really want to um, share their time and their expertise will come to groups like that and offer. I don't think you just look out on social media and say, hey, I need somebody to come help me, because a lot of people are not going to be sincere.
Thank you. This is Suanne. We've mentioned Ween a couple of times, and I'm not too sure if it was clearly defined what the organization does. So I'm going to turn it over to Monique to kind of
Yes.
give us an overview, and then I have a couple of questions afterwards.
Okay. So hi everyone, this is Monique. So WEAN stands for Women Embracing Abilities Now. It is a mentoring program for women with disabilities. We mentor women who are women who have been living with their disabilities for quite some time, who've found success in life and live independently. We mentor women who are newly disabled or women with disabilities who have lost their confidence and just need some support. And we're also starting a program to where we will trying to get into the high schools and local colleges to mentor young girls with disabilities and young women with disabilities in their career and independent living, helping them get leadership opportunities. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, what WEAN is. And yeah, so I'll turn it back over to Suanne.
Monique, what's the IG handle of Ween, in case if anyone's
Is
interested?
it Ween Charlotte?
Yeah.
I'll put it in the chat. I've got
Thank
it.
you, Michelle.
No worries.
Yes.
Yep. So you can find the Instagram in the chat, but it's WEAN Charlotte on Instagram for those that are watching.
Thank you.
This is Suanne again. Miss Carolyn, I have two hot questions for you. Number one, and I'm gonna let you answer, and then I'm gonna go to the next one. For those who just received or like come into their disability, how would you guide them or like give them encouragement through the adjustment period? Because I remember that you mentioned a lot of grieving. So what is the best, or like, how would you be there for someone who is, just entering this disability community and finding out this whole other world of, it's very different from an able-bodied experience.
I'm sorry, was that question was directed to me?
Yes, Pam.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. Well, I try to ease in, through a phone conversation, and then I mentioned some of the events and things we've done in the past, and I mentioned some of the things we have coming up, and I try to find out where that person really is. Some people you have to be ready. In other words, I had one of my blind mentors, to say to me, and I had mentors all through my transitioning into the blind. I had him say, you're not depressed. You're just grieving. You're grieving something that you had for a very long time, and now you've lost it. And he said, and there's nobody is going to be able to tell you when to stop grieving. You will know when. And that worked so well for me, because I thought, oh my God, I'm just over the deep end here. I'm not coming out the house, I'm isolated. So I try to take that into consideration to let that person know it's okay, because whatever it is, it was yours, and you're able to grieve with it as long as it takes, but don't take too long. Know that we're here. There's other people out there. There's all these organizations. We're doing so much. We're living our life. We don't want that to slip by. with you. And one of the main things that made me get up from grieving was I heard a pastor say that everything that is given to you is for you. And that means the good and the bad. So he was just like, be thankful in it. And I had to think about it. I said, oh my gosh, I've had a great life. I can't complain about anything. I lived my life. It's been wonderful. I've given back. I've helped people. I've done everything that I thought I wanted to do. You know, there's still things I want to do now, but with a different, with part two of my life. But the whole thing is we sometimes it's just a matter of spending time with the person or connecting them with the right person. And I do a lot of that. You know, like when Brooke, I was like, oh, we've got to call Monique, you know, or I put them in the right hands of people that are going to help uplift them. And I may not be the one that can help you, but I may know someone who can. And we just have to go that route. And we always check on them. That's the other thing. That's the thing I love the most when I became blind was to the blind community. They're going to check on you. If you haven't heard, they haven't heard anything from you in 2 weeks, my phone would be blowing up. And I'm thinking, wow, what do y'all think I'm going to do over here? You know, so we all check on each other, especially during the holiday time. You know, some people have been in isolation all year. They do not need to be alone at holiday time, you know. So I think, you know, and just telling people everything's going to be all right, that doesn't cut it because you don't know their story. And that's the other thing, just listening. Listen to the person's story. And then from there, sort of pick up on it. I think, you know, like Ween and Divas Alliance and Access CLT. I think we're ladies that are compassionate and we listen. We're not just a counselor, you know, that this is their profession. I'm not saying anything bad, but this is their profession and they're being paid for it. We're doing it through experience. We're doing it from the heart. And it does make a difference. It really makes a difference. And you're doing a great job, ladies.
Thank you. This is Joanne again. As a therapist, I so appreciate that answer. So what I hear is just meet them where they are.
Yes.
And be there for them and ultimately connect them to community.
Yes. Yeah, you said that so good in 3 little sentences. Thank you, Suzanne.
So part 2 of my question is, how do you stay encouraged? Because just as a person of color with a very visible disability, you know, like the world is not built for me, the world is not built for us. And people and policies come into play all the time that is not in our best interest. How do you stay encouraged and keep on doing the good work without succumbing to discouragement?
Yeah, you know, I think with me, because of the confident individual I've been my entire life, you know, a little bit over the top, I would say as well with that that plays a big part of it for myself. I am very self-motivated, always have been, but I do get down. I'm no superwoman now. And where I build my strength and my encouragement is when I'm surrounded around other ladies that are disabled. And what I get inspired when I see what they're doing, you know, how they're coping with it, how they are just moving forward in life. That's what I plug into them. They think I'm there inspiring them, but they don't have a clue. They keep me going, you know, because there are those days, there are those times, and it's, you know, where you think on your past and you think, oh, I was doing this and that, and I should be doing this and that at this point, you know, in my life. And it's just different. It's just your life is different. And, you know, it's just your new life. And so I have to keep pushing, and I don't let anything really get me down, and I never let no stop me before. You know, it's always a comma. I'm coming back. I got something else I'm going to try or ask for. And I just continue to do that. And it helps me that this is kind of funny. It helps me now because I don't have to look at your face. So I don't see you when you're just out and out telling me no. I think you're saying, no, not right now. Come on back next week, kind of thing. Or when you're changing policy, sometimes it helps that I can't see people's body language, their expressions on their face, because then I create what I want to create in my head. I mean, you might think I'm a crazy lady, but I just create a great scenario around everything. And I just want to bring joy all the time. I'm like, you're not going to steal my joy. You know, I can't see, but you're not going to steal my joy. So with all that being said, I just try to stay up and plug into great people like yourselves, like women that are on the move, that are doing things. So I could just sit back and say, wow, look at them. You know, I can take a breath for a minute. And so that's what keeps me going is other people.
Thank you so much for that, Miss Carolyn. And Michelle.
Hi again.
Hi.
These are great. I love this. Thank you so much again. So related to that, related to this idea of grieving what you lost and having this transition from your diagnosis to the acceptance of that diagnosis. We are very familiar at Access CLT with the term ableism, which is a degrading of a devaluing of disabled persons because of measures such as productivity or other usually capitalist leaning measures of your value to society. And therefore, we find that we very much take, for instance, a social model of disability in that society sometimes disables more than a disability itself. Because if you start to create barriers, then you are amplifying a disability that really may not have had that much impact had there not been so many barriers to engaging in society without those. So with that, I wondered if you might have some revisionist reflections on whether that grieving period would have been altered if you lived in a society that was not as ableist. So if you lived in a world where disability was more included, and going back to Miss Christine's comment about inclusivity and this idea of disabled folks are seen as leaders and just seen as equals who just happen to have a disability. If we lived in that kind of world, do you think your grieving would have been at the same level or equal with your transition?
No, I think it would have been less. It would have been shorter. Trust me, because it would have been like, oh, this is happening to me, but oh, okay, it's happened to other people too, and it's all and they're still doing what they need to do, and it's acceptable. When things are not acceptable, you have to think about people say things to you like, why are your eyes rolling up in your head, or you really can't see me, and you're acting like you can't see me, and just all kinds of crazy stuff is what it is, really, because if you haven't walked in anybody's shoes or you don't know anything about the disability, then you really should not make comments, and you definitely should not put up walls and fences and barriers blocking people because you don't know. And so I think ignorance to disability is what has held us back for so long. I think also, as I think of walking down the hallway and all the doors are locked and someone gives you a ring of keys and you got all these keys right there in front of you, but you've locked those doors up, and those keys, they may be, some are big, some are small, some are funny looking, whatever, a little rusty, but those are people with disabilities, and they could unlock a world for you, and you could help them unlock a world for themselves, but you overlook those things, because you got everything so locked up and already planned out as to how everything is supposed to be in the in the normal world, is what they would like to call it. But what's normal? We're all here together. And the real thing that I always say to people, to keep it real, is that it could be you any day. So once people start realizing that it could be them, I think we'll break down some of those barriers, and more of those doors will unlock and stay unlocked, because they're so busy closing doors on us, and they haven't even had a chance to understand us. And that's what's real important, is understanding. So that's my comment on that one. I get a little riled up sometimes.
This is Suanne. That was beautiful. And I don't think we can say anything more to top that. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to close us off.
Okay.
Awesome. Yes, I was high-fiving and all of that. Suanne, I will go
Thanks
ahead.
for the high five.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to share my screen again, 1 sec, and just close us out with just a few announcements, and also thank everyone for coming. So 1 sec here. We had our little issue earlier, so I want to make sure that, oops, see, here we go. And here I go sharing the wrong thing. Hang on 1 sec, y'all. All right. Let me share. There we go. All right, we should be seeing what we got here. This is trying to act up today. There we go. All right, so thank you all for joining us for our Access Ladies interviews. We're going to go ahead and wind down. If you have other pressing questions or comments, feel free to keep engaging in the chat. We still have a few more minutes, but just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge the closing, as well as some of the organizations that are represented here. First and foremost, this was hosted by our organization, Access CLT. So that's where you get the Access Ladies interviews. So Suanne, Michelle, and Monique are part of the leadership of that organization. And on the screen, we have once again that QR code for our organization, the logo that we have, and ways to connect with us, because what we are is an organization around disability advocacy through connective events. So we are really about getting folks together, particularly in the Charlotte area, but also through virtual events like this, so that we are just helping to continue to build that community that Ms. Carolyn said was so important, and also to change those perceptions of disability as well while we're at it. And so in order to understand what else we have going on, or know what else we have going on, most of you registered with us through Eventbrite, so you can actually follow us on Eventbrite. That's where we'll post a lot of our events. Also, we're on LinkedIn, so if you look for Access CLT on LinkedIn, you will find us there. And on Instagram, we are Access_CLT. We actually have another organization in Charlotte, Accessible Charlotte, that has a similar handle. Feel free to join them as well. But we are Access_CLT on Instagram. And so our purpose, again, is making Charlotte accessible together. And so with that, we want to make sure that we are acknowledging that it is the end of the year. So we want to wish everyone prosperity and success in the coming year. But also in the coming year, we will again have a lot of different events. And so I'll stop sharing because that has a little bit of motion on it, and just come back to the screen to say that next year, for instance, earlier in the year, we do plan on having a social event, because we're not always all about just, the sort of serious topics. And obviously there is a lot of weight to disability advocacy, but therefore we want to balance that also with some lightness and some lightheartedness. And so we do have some ideas for a social gathering in the Charlotte area for those that can attend that. And then we also be on the lookout for our Disability Resource Fair. We debuted that last year. We had over 100 attendees and about 25 local Charlotte advocacy organizations come to the Assistive Technology Center in Charlotte to get together and celebrate the ADA anniversary. We're going to go bigger this year because we already outgrew the space that we were in last year, which was the Assistive Technology Center. And so be on the lookout for announcements about our Disability Resource Showcase around the ADA anniversary again next year, which again will be a place to network and showcase all that the Charlotte and surrounding areas have regarding disability advocacy in this space. And then we'll continue to also have some virtual events as well, which creates this community in this space. But Insightful Visionaries and we want to give you all space to make your announcements as well.
I did put, Carolyn, this is Monique. I put the link for Insightful Visionaries and the Christmas Without Lights event.
Yes.
That's December 13th.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
You don't have any announcements I can think of. Oh, Wayne has a podcast coming in 2025. Please follow and, keep an eye out for that. So excited. And I'll let Carolyn, go forward with any announcements that you would like to make?
I think I already talked about upcoming 2025 for us, and just want to wish everybody a happy holidays and prosperous new year. And if you're thinking of starting that business, let's go for it. Let's make it happen.
All right, let's make it happen. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and we will see all of y'all in the next coming year.
Bye.
Thank you for
Bye.
having me.